most girls when they're 18 are not meeting very good guys. Now, if you're 18 and also have come from a very tumultuous childhood and have been basically shown abuse the majority of your life, you definitely won't be meeting good partners unless you've done like an extreme amount of inner excavation and you really know yourself and you've kind of done all the shadow work. Then maybe you will attract a good partner. And I'm not trying to victim blame. People don't end up inside shitty situations because they don't vibrate high enough. I think it's just that when you have tolerated something your entire life, you will tolerate it in relationships. And so if you tolerated abuse, you likely will tolerate it again. And that ends up attracting people who want to abuse you because, they can spot people out like flies, I feel. And, people have like a great way of testing you as well. Like when you meet someone, that's why it's like, being abused is like the worst because you are just such vulnerable prey to people who because I also feel like there's like a naivety to people who have sometimes been through trauma. Like, I don't know if that's just me. I always like assume the best in people and I know that I shouldn't, but I basically while I'm assuming the best, like if you show me a little bit of love, I'll start to assume the best and I'll completely start to ignore just so much that you're doing because that's the pattern of my entire childhood. Been given just like a little bit of niceness, but underneath it all is like so much fuckery. But I just focus on the good stuff and ignore all the bad stuff because I'm just like trying to survive. And you just seek out the same patterns like in adulthood. And it's so sad too because it's like you're seeking them out in adulthood when like you've escaped. It's like you literally don't need to be inside the situation and you're putting yourself back into the situation. So I, grew up with a pretty angry dad. And I feel like I've seen him kind of bully and demean my mom a lot of my life. And so when I entered my first relationship when I was 18, I met someone who his nickname for me was retard. And I let him call me that for like 4 years. And I still I remember at the end of the 4 years, like one of our fights was like, you can't call me that anymore. And he was like, no, I say it with love. And it was such a trip for me because growing up, I had seen my dad kind of just not be very nice all the time. And so I started to take that as that's just how people who are very important in your life treat you and it's okay. And then I also did not see my mother very often stand up for herself. She often just would silently take whatever was given to her. And I found myself doing that too. And I also just found myself back in this relationship where I was not meant to shine and I wouldn't have been allowed to shine either. I think about there's so much there because even when I was in that relationship, my parents didn't know about it. So that's one thing. When you grow up with abusive parents, you seek out bad partners. But if you could grow up with abusive and strict parents, now you're seeking out bad partners. And you are also super vulnerable in another way because nobody knows you're actually with this partner. So you're with this really shitty person in the middle of God knows where, but nobody knows. So literally anything could happen to you. But in your brain, you're literally I'd rather something happen to me than my parents find out that I'm currently out with a boy because no boys, right? I rather risk my life and be in danger than ever let my parents know about this side of me that's so shameful and sinful and dirty. And it's basically you are in the situation where you are so enclosed with this guy. And so if you're not seeking out, sorry, I'm really not trying to victim blame here. I don't know why that language keeps coming up. If you end up with somebody who is abusive, then they also likely isolate you. You might not have a lot of friends. They might tell you oh, your friends hate you. That's what happened to me. Apparently all my friends were so jealous of me. They weren't. Okay, nobody was fucking jealous of me. It's actually crazy. And it's just a really effective way to keep you alone. And if you're alone, you're not able like to tell other people what's going on. And because when you're so entrapped inside such a shitty dynamic, you sometimes like lose sight of what's going on, and you don't have that outside perspective to tell you like this is fucked up. And I know that that was for me like many times, because like if I really told someone like what was going on in my relationship, like how whenever we'd fight I'd have to go into like another room to finish crying alone, and like just really insane things like that, like people would probably be like, that's very weird, like that's not healthy, like why is that happening to you? But I just kind of was like, my self-worth was so low that I genuinely was like, yeah, like I'm not allowed to show feelings in front of other people. Like this isn't something that like I should be ashamed and do this alone. Like why am I so sensitive? Why am I so much? Like let me just go take care of it somewhere else and then come back outside when I'm ready to perform being enough. And I was just like so isolated with this one person. I'm not going to my parents. I don't have friends. And I don't have support. I don't have self-confidence. I don't have a backbone. And now I'm also just like young. And of course the guys that you meet when you're 18 are always a little bit older. So then you're just like, fuck man, like it's just you're in a really bad situation where you know you're not supposed to be there. You know this person's not treating you well. Like over time especially, like you just become such a shell of yourself. And I do think that that's the gaslight, because it's like I had so many fights with my partner, like treat me better, like can you like not call me that, like can you just treat me with respect? Because at the beginning I'd be like, okay, this is fine, but then at somewhere down the line, like I'd be like, hey, like actually, like I don't think I could take this. But even when I acknowledged that, I would just fight and scream with him instead of breaking up with him, because I still was like, even with all of this chaos, even with how shitty you treat me, I will still stay here and wait for you to one day maybe treat me well. And I was so obsessed with that. I was so obsessed with like, maybe one day I will get the person that I really, really want. And I know that that was just like a subconscious yearning to like have the parents that I always wanted. But I self-sacrificed, and like so much of my dignity was so humiliating, like being in a relationship where like you are not respected, because then I also started to act out inside ways that I wasn't proud of. Like I ended up screaming and yelling and just overreacting and sending paragraphs and just doing crazy shit that like I look back on and I'm like, no siree Bob. Like now the idea of having anyone even get me to that point is unfathomable, because I don't even let it get there. Like the minute so I can feel someone even making me like a little bit irritated in the way of like asking someone for basic decent human respect, like you can only do that so many times before like the minute you ask you're literally fuming, because it's like, what do you mean you can't even give me a little bit of respect? So you also end up losing yourself in the relationship, and you lose so much time and you lose so much energy, you lose your youth, you lose your spark for life, because you're just so consumed in getting this one person to treat you the way that you want to be treated. And I will say, like, it's not just like, it takes two to tango. So it's like, while like I'm not leaving the loop, the person in the relationship is often fucking feeding the loop, where like it's going back to that, like I'll treat you good for just a little bit, or I'll change for like a couple of days, and then you go back to being a douche monkey, and then it leaves me like all confused, like, oh no, is he treating me well, is he not treating me well? Like it's also like, I'm not gonna label him a narcissist, but it's remnant of that. So then it's like I get that it's like two people who are just kind of doing the stance of ridiculousness, but at the end of the day, like I was younger, I was isolated, and like I was also a woman of color. Like there's just so much going on there. And what that means is like, I'm really lucky to have gotten out of it. I'm really lucky that I didn't end up pregnant. I'm really lucky that like I was able to like finish school and get my education and get a job and just get my life back on track after that relationship, because I had that relationship all throughout university and I barely fucking passed university. Like I was really glad to even have finished. And I know for a fact that my university career would have been so different had I not been inside that relationship, had I not been taking up all that energy. And it's just unfortunate that like the sweetest girls, like, you know, when I was 18, like I was just a cute little girl. Like I was not like one prepared for love, but also like I didn't do anything to deserve the way that I was treated. And if anything, considering my past, I deserve to have been treated like even with more love than I had ever been able to experience in my life. Like that's really what I needed and what I deserved. But it's unfortunate that like what I needed and what I deserved is not what I got, because that's not what I was even willing or able to hold. Like now I'm fast forward almost 10 years. I'm turning 27 soon. That's crazy. So fast forward almost a decade, and I am a lot better at holding love, and I'm a lot better at seeking out partners. I can speak with that language. I'm a lot better at maintaining relationships with people that love me properly, with respect, warmly, kindly, and don't treat me like absolute garbage. But it is a trip sometimes, because I'm still sometimes like very hesitant to accept love that's so sweet and kind, because it's so foreign to me. And I'm so used to just begging for the bare minimum. I'm so used to begging to be treated with respect and dignity, let alone like when people are going above and beyond for me. Like it's hard for me to comprehend. I'm like, you're doing this because you love me, right? Like not for some fucked up ulterior motive, right? Like it's hard to trust it when like all you've been shown is tomfoolery. And yeah, you know, I am glad though, I will say, that I had such a messed up situation happen to me when I was young, because I do think that no matter what, I was gonna have someone like that enter my life. Like I needed to go through the full cycle of fuckery in order to get it out of my system and never have it happen to me ever again. And that relationship genuinely changed me. It was a catalyst for like basically the rest of my life. I found God like after that relationship. Like it really changed me. And it was torture. It really was. But I'm really glad that like I saw what my life would be if I didn't value or respect myself and continued the pattern that's been inside my family, which is accepting nothing from people just because they give you even a little bit of warmth. Like you take so much crap for them. And then it doesn't matter, right? Like how much little warmth you give me, like I needed an excess, and the crap needs to be basically next to none. Like you can't, that's not how that works. You're not nice to me one day and not nice the next. You're just an unsafe person then. And, you know, now after having gone through all that, I seek out safe people, and that's a very healing thing, I think. And that's a very like beautiful thing to want in your life and to seek out. So yeah. Cheers. Thanks for listening.